A few years ago, I had a small role in the demise of ACS solicitors, which were thankfully sacked by the Law Society after some long delays. They were shaking down internet users for allegedly infringing copyright on pornography and other low-grade media. Their evidence was extremely suspect, but was never tested in court. ACS made its money from the threats and never took anyone to court, though it used the courts to target its victims via Norwich Pharmacal orders. Now some careless person has dropped blood onto the ashes of ACS, and the same scam is alive again. The same thin evidence. They have an IP address. They have not revealed how they get that IP address. But given that IP address, they go through the same Norwich Pharmacal procedure, but this time, to remove the vulnerability that ACS found, the solicitor involved, Bargain & Co., withdraws after obtaining the Norwich Pharmacal order. So they are not involved in the threat processes, which are undertaken by shell companies. And there doesn't seem to be any redress for people threatened or for ISPs who are asked to comply with Norwich Pharmacal orders. If anybody comes across the names of Hatton and Barclay, Ranger Bay, GoldenEye International, Mercom International, TCYK, all these well known in the correspondence about what's going on, I really urge them to put this thing in the bin. The current scammers aren't pursuing anyone, they're just after threats and extortion and shaking people down. If you really feel you need to talk to a solicitor, there's a firm called Laudit, which has hundreds of these cases on its books and is consolidating them. So I applaud the government for helping our businesses avoid unjustified threats. But I would really like to know what they intend to do to help the granny in the Clapham nursing home who is being threatened by their smaller, nastier cousins with allegations that she has been downloading pornography illegally. My lords, surely it's not acceptable to the government that that should continue. These villains are laughing at, abusing the system, just as ACS did until it was closed down, just as the people that this bill addresses are doing. Could we not, for instance, allow citizens and those acting for them to send a sue or desist letter and then make any further threats, short of action, liable to penalty, as is done in this bill? Wouldn't that be a good right for citizens who are being threatened in any circumstances? And what do they intend to do to mitigate the mischiefs that they are unleashing by the abolition of Section 52? Could they not, for instance, extend the protection given to sculpture in Section 62 to all objects incidental to a 2D or virtual production? My lords, that would be very similar to the protection which exists at present. This bill shows, I think, an admirable intention to protect businesses and citizens from the parasites who live by making unjustified threats on them and by those who seek to use very important and well-meaning legislation to protect those who create in this economy to unjustified advantage. I really hope that the government will look at its own actions and at what is happening at a lower level and consider going further than it has in this bill.